Hello, this is Jeff Brickle, and I am a professor of biblical studies at Urshan Graduate School of Theology. I've been a part of this community now, the so-called Urshan system, for almost 22 years, and I teach in a variety of courses here at the school, and I have a heart for higher education. I really believe in our apostolic message and the importance of developing ministers for work in our ongoing mission to reach the world. I'm a member of the Society of Biblical Literature, the Society for Pentecostal Studies, and the Institute for Biblical Research. So I'm actually involved in a number of academic associations outside the school, and I view part of my mission as building bridges to those in the academic guild, being involved and presenting papers and contributing with publications. So my education is I did my bachelor's degree at Harvard University, where I focused in the field of religion, my master's degree at Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, where I concentrated in urban ministry, and my Ph.D. from Concordia Seminary, St. Louis. I also did some additional studies. I've got an associate's degree in music from Finger Lakes Community College and studied at the Berklee College of Music in Boston. In terms of my scholarly publications, I've contributed not only to the Apostolic Handbook series. I did the volume on the Gospels, and also did the volume. I did half the volume on the handbook on the general epistles and Revelation, but I've also contributed to a number of other scholarly publications. My dissertation was entitled Oral Design and Coherence in the Prologue of 1 John, where I studied the sound patterns of the Greek text of the opening of the prologue of the first epistle of John. So some areas that I teach in include New Testament foundations. So most of my work is in the New Testament and in Greek. So New Testament foundations is a first-year course for students coming into the school, where we explore not only the content of the New Testament, but we also look at various methodologies that scholars have used to study the New Testament. Another one of my courses, sort of a signature course I picked up several years ago, is entitled Luke Acts. It's a second-year, more advanced course where we focus on the Gospel of Luke and the Acts of the Apostles. We primarily use a narrative approach to Luke's work. We study the rhetoric of the book. We explore a bit the ancient education system. I believe that Luke was highly educated. We compare his work to other works of ancient historiography. So we uncover a lot of the dynamics of the book. And I'm those two books, I'm very interested in trying to help students see the New Testament in fresh ways. I also teach a number of book studies, including various studies on the works of John. That's probably the centerpiece of my own research and interest, are the works of John. I teach a course on the Gospel of John, the book of Revelation, Johannine literature, and so forth. I've also recently taught a brand new course entitled Literature of the Greco-Roman World, where we explore the works of Homer, Herodotus, Plato, all the way into the first century, looking at like Pliny the Younger and so forth, a bit of Josephus and other ancient writers, to try to get a better understanding of the literary world in which the New Testament was written. I have a number of special interests. I already mentioned my doctoral dissertation on the prologue of 1 John. So a lot of my research is focused on trying to better understand ancient Gospels and in particular, how the Gospel of John is structured, the unique way that it presents Jesus, its Christology. I also done quite a bit of work in the Apocalypse, also known as the Book of Revelation, where we basically take a journey back in time and explore the first century context in which the Book of Revelation was written in order to get a better grasp of the symbolism and the intention of the author in sharing this apocalyptic vision to the 7 churches of Asia Minor. Another major area of interest of mine is known as ancient media culture. Ancient media culture has to do with the various ways that people communicated in the ancient world, the way they handled texts, the way they stored texts, both as manuscripts but also internally. So in ancient media culture, we get into issues like, what did a text sound like when it was read aloud? When a lector, a skilled reader, would read the text aloud to an audience that was gathered together. What are the dynamics of listening or being an auditor of a text that was written for the ear rather than the eye in an oral culture in which the vast majority of people were illiterate, functionally illiterate, and unable to read the text for themselves? So I'm a major proponent of oral reading, taking biblical text and instead of simply reading them silently, scanning the text with our eyes in a sort of a private way, actually publicly reading Scripture aloud, and the dynamics and the transformative nature of reading a text so that people gather in a community and hear the text read out loud. I'm also very interested in ancient memory techniques known as the memory arts. I come from a family of Bible quizzers, and so memorizing Scripture has been a big part of the dynamics of my family. So I'm interested in the various ways in which the ancients would master text, the techniques, the framework by which they could master the ins and outs of a biblical text. I'm also very interested in the notion of performance, the performance of a text. What was it like when an ancient lector made the text come alive, brought the text to life by reading it and performing it, sometimes by memory, in front of an audience? So issues like hand gestures, body language, eye contact, facial expressions, and so forth. And we know a great deal about these kinds of elements of ancient performance based on ancient statuary, paintings, literary references, and so forth. The last issue I'll bring out here is another special interest, that being ancient literary culture. And that's the notion that in the ancient world, communities would form around books, the study of books, the reciting of books, dialogue about books. And I'm a huge proponent of restoring, reviving the apostolic practice of intense communal reading of books, bringing books together, bringing people together to debate and dialogue and discuss biblical texts. I'd like to invite you to consider coming to UGST, sampling some of our courses. For example, you could take a short-term course, an intensive few days here on campus to come to meet the faculty, your fellow classmates, the staff, experience the campus for yourself. Any of these topics that I've discussed may be of interest to you. We'd love to talk to you about them. So again, I invite you to check out Urshan Graduate School of Theology, and we're excited to have you join our community.